Raise your right hand, please. Sworn, please. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you should give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, ma'am, you can take a seat. And if you could, state and spell your name for the record for us.
Sarah Boone, 101077.
And could you spell your name?
SARAHBOONE.
All right, thank you very much. Sir, you may inquire.
Ms. Boone, would you please tell the jury where you were born and raised?
Atlanta, Georgia.
You were born in Atlanta?
I was born in Atlanta.
And how long did you stay in Atlanta before you moved here to Florida?
I was 3 years old, 3 or 4.
Okay. And from that time, y'all moved, you and your family, your mother and father, moved to Orlando?
And my grandparents.
Okay. Y'all all moved down from Atlanta down to Orlando?
Yes, and my 2 brothers.
Okay. And were you raised here essentially from that time on?
Yes.
And you resided here in Orange County, Florida that entire time?
Yes.
Okay. And where did you go to high school here locally?
I did.
Where did you go to high school?
Edgewater.
Okay. And tell the jury, how old were you when you graduated?
I was 18 years old.
Now, I know you lost your mother and father.
Overruled.
I know you lost your mother and father in your teens and in your 20s. Is that true?
I lost my grandfather when I was a sophomore in high school, and I lost my father when I was a senior. And then my mother passed away a few years after that, and then my grandmother passed away after my mother died.
All right, so you were in your 20s when all that was going on?
Yes.
Okay. And then at some point in your 20s, you met Brian Boone?
I did, yes.
All right. And how long did y'all date before you married?
A good handful of years. I helped my family with paying mortgage and bills for the house since my father had passed away and my grandfather, so...
So you worked outside the home?
I did.
Okay. Can you tell the jury when you said you and Brian Boone dated for a while? Do you remember when y'all married?
I do.
Could you tell the jury when y'all were married?
The year?
Yeah. You remember the date?
It happened to be, yes, that after my mother passed away, that he had waited to ask me to marry him because he knew it would be...
Objection, non-responsive.
Sustained.
Just answer the question if you can, Ms. Boone. Are you a little bit nervous?
A little bit.
Okay. Well, just tell the jury if you remember the date that you and Brian Boone married.
August 21st, 2004.
Okay. And had y'all lived with each other for a short time before that?
Short time.
Yes. Okay. After you married, how long was it before y'all had any children?
Gosh, 6 years?
Okay. And y'all have one son.
Yes.
What's his name?
Lucas.
And how old is Lucas now?
Lucas will be 14 years old on the 28th.
28th of this month?
Yes.
Okay. So you and Brian were married, and y'all lived in Orange County. How long were y'all married?
For 13 years.
All right, and y'all divorced?
Yes.
And as part of the divorce, were y'all to share custody of your son?
Yes.
And so y'all would split days? Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. At some time after you and Brian split up, did you meet Jorge Torres?
Yes.
All right, could you tell the jury how you met Jorge Torres?
I met George when I decided to buck up, I guess, and was tired of trying to patch things up with my ex-husband. And I decided to go one day for a walk across the street and go have a beer by myself and sit and people watch just to get out of my house and a change of scenery.
All right, now is this your apartment?
No, this is the marital home.
Okay. Where is that marital home?
Winter Park?
You're no longer living in that marital home?
No.
Who lives in the marital home?
No one. It has been sold.
Okay. So you met Jorge Torres before you got the apartment?
Yes.
Okay. And you met him at a bar across the street from the marital home?
Yes, we had a mutual friend there.
Were you introduced?
Yes.
All right. How did you and George get along when y'all first met?
Very well. It was it was strange how quickly we hit things off and had so much in common, and I never thought that he would be interested in someone like me, and I just couldn't believe that he was actually interested in me and said a lot of nice things, and 1 hour ended up being 4 hours from when we had first met, and then we would always have something to talk about.
Why couldn't you believe that he would be interested in you?
He was very handsome. He was very funny. He was smart, and I would show up in workout clothes and disheveled hair, and I guess I kind of felt broken from being in the process of the divorce that he knew about. But then one of the things that we could relate also was the fact that he was here in Florida because he had just been divorced from his second wife. So that was another topic that he and I could compare notes on.
So eventually, the divorce was settled. Did you get your own place?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that after you, at first you lived in your parents' home, correct?
Yes, until I was married.
And then you moved directly in with Brian,
Yes.
and then y'all lived in the marital home, correct?
Yes.
And then you got this apartment.
Yes.
So that was the first time in your life that you actually had your own place.
Yes.
And what was the address?
4748 France Court, apartment number 3.
And what city is that in?
It's in Winter Park.
How far is that from here?
20 minutes?
Okay. So you got that apartment, and initially were you by yourself?
No.
All right, tell the jury.
In the almost year, about 10 months of separation from Brian, my ex-husband, that is the time when I met George. And my ex-husband was trying to buy me out or force me out of our marital home, and I needed to find somewhere to live. And
So
George-
did you and George agree to rent the apartment?
Yes, I needed extra income. We could not afford it, just on my own.
You were receiving some income from the marriage settlement, were you not?
Yes,
So you did have a consistent monthly income coming in from the marriage settlement,
for the most part, yes.
but you needed more to live.
Yes, to pay the bills and for rent.
So did you and George have some agreement?
We did.
All right, what was the agreement?
The agreement was that if I decided for he and I to live with one another, because it would be under my name, that he would help with the monthly bills and on a regular basis, where it wouldn't be something that I would have to argue with him about. It would just be an automatic, make sure that everything's paid first, and then from there, hopefully have some fun with it.
Okay. So I understand from that point on, would it be fair to say that y'all saw each other on and off for about the next 3.5 years?
No, I would consider us a couple. At
Okay.
some point, he asked me to marry him.
Okay. But y'all did have times where he left and went to live with his parents?
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yes.
And there were times where there was an understanding that y'all were going to break up?
Multiple times.
Okay. All right. So, again, on again, off again.
Yes. This was actually before we had our apartment. That was, I guess, our dating phase.
Okay. So y'all were together for 3.5 years. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And y'all had actually agreed to marry?
He had asked me yes a couple of times to marry him, and one time I agreed to yes.
Okay. Now, I want to get directly to the date of this event so that the jury can hear your testimony. All right? So tell us, I believe the date is February the 23rd of 2020. Explain to the jury that whole day, from the time y'all got up, the whole thing.
Objection calls for hearing.
Approach.